This Protoman review is brought to you by Big Bad Toy Store. Big Bad Toy Store, the ultimate in toys.
So Ultra Magnus has had a lot of different incarnations through the past, a lot of them unfortunately being Optimus Prime repaints. But once in a while we get a third-party toy like a City Commander, or a remold, or in most cases a brand new mold, where Magnus gets his own figure. But sometimes we get a repaint, that is a remold, that actually isn't too bad, and gives a little bit of extras. So we're doing a video review of Fall of Cybertron Ultra Magnus. Let's check it out.
ProtoRetro.
So for those who don't know, Ultra Magnus is a retool and repaint with some new accessories of the Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime toy. This is the second wave, and it comes in a sleek, nice-looking box, but who cares about that? Here's the back. Wow, that's nice. A little bit of information. Let's open it. So here we have Ultra Magnus in Alt mode, or vehicle mode. A lot of these High Moon video game toys are usually packaged in robot mode, but I figure I'm going to be more traditional, start where it's supposed to be, in the roly-poly vehicle mode. Isn't he beautiful? Now, this toy itself, not much of it looks very different from the Optimus. I'm just going to bring him in here. But obviously, Hasbro has to figure out a way to convince you to buy the toy a second time. So, they introduced a new weapon, and they introduced some more paint apps, which unfortunately Optimus had very little of. This one is covered in extra paint applications that Optimus didn't have. Just the front here, you can see, we're going to see a lot more in vehicle mode, but in robot mode. But even there on the side, see here in the back, a lot of extra paint was put into Magnus. Again, a good reason to convince you to buy it a second time. He also had extra paint that was put on the exhaust there, little silver applications, a lot of extra stuff. Clearly Magnus is the winner of the two. I mean, not to mention you get the extra accessory. Now, let's get to just focusing on it for a second. Now, in all honesty, with the exception of the smokestacks here, this really invokes Ultra Magnus even better than Optimus Prime. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the blue and the white. It works better. But it just is a more Ultra Magnus feeling Cybertronian design, where I found that the War for Cybertron one kind of did a better job. Also, it was a much larger figure. But it's just, I found Optimus was kind of lacking in that. In terms of the accessories in this one, just like Optimus, you have the one that pegs in the top there, or it can be put on the smokestacks. But here's the sword, and this is just kind of a stretch, but there's a little peg here, and you got the sword on the side, and now he can stab things when he drives by. Oh yeah, hey, how you doing? I'm gonna stab ya. Anyways, so that's that. Let's bring him into robot mode and get to the good. So we got the Magnus in robot mode. Now this is where a lot of those same, like I said before, extra paint apps really show through. It's just completely a lot more. Again, those smokestacks, by being kept up instead of folded down, really accentuate that Ultra Magnus look. If I did have to complain about one thing, is with the new head sculpt, Ultra Magnus has red eyes. And I don't know, call me a purist, but I find that, you know, Autobots with red eyes just looks evil, you know, and it's always been kind of a staple in the 84, 85, 86 show that, you know, Autobots have blue eyes, Decepticons have red eyes, with the exception of Shockwave and Swindle, I guess. You know, so it's one of those things where, you know, be nice if it had blue eyes, but that's a minor complaint. Going down to the legs, again, see, they painted the toes. You know, going back to what we showed with the vehicle mode, just they painted the side there more. A lot of extra paint details. So you're getting more of your money's worth than you did for Optimus. Now, an unfortunate thing about all of that is size. These are deluxe figures. And here was the Optimus mold prior. This is the War for Cybertron Optimus, and unfortunately he towers above everyone else. Yeah, this has to do with plastic costs and everything. People have been complaining about how deluxes have been shrinking over the past couple of years, actually. But plastic costs are more expensive, and this toy, unfortunately, was a product of its time when plastic was a lot cheaper. So we have a lot smaller deluxes. And I think that's what's kind of an unfortunate thing, is where if you're going to stay true to scale, with Optimus, yeah, okay, he's going to be shrunk down because of plastic cost, but because of him having to be so reliant for the Ultra Magnus repaint, we're stuck with an Ultra Magnus that's also equally as small, where Magnus is usually a character that's larger than Optimus. So that's kind of a shame. Other differences, really, aside from folding back the smokestacks to get that that Ultra Magnus look in the head, there's really not much else aside from that, except one thing, the sword. But I'm going to get to one other weapon before we get to the sword, and that's the gun. Now, the gun also is exactly the same with the original Optimus, but I found that it was weird the first time around, this gun, just when I was looking at it, because it's a dead ringer homage to the original G1 Ultra Magnus gun, where it has two ways to be held. Now, granted, the G1 Ultra Magnus gun, the reason why it had two ways to be held was for the smaller robot mode to accompany more the Optimus Prime mold, and the larger hilt and larger stance for it to be used for the Ultra Magnus combined mode. But it's really nice that that kind of exists. It's a throwback. Even though Optimus had it beforehand, it's still nice that it's there. And then we got the big sword. Now, in recent years, Magnus has kind of been known for a hammer. That's kind of been his thing now. So the sword is kind of out of left field. I mean, if there's other Transformer characters that are known for their swords, it's a Atlas or a Drift now. But hey, yeah, Magnus has a sword now. Kind of would have liked the hammer, but again, can't complain. He holds it. He swings it. Same thing with his guns here. He holds it two ways if he wants to. Again, just like the original G1 Magnus. Also, according to the instructions, just like the Optimus, you could kind of peg it up here, and yeah, now he has a shoulder cannon. I guess if you want to be creative too, you could take the sword, and now he has a stabby shoulder. Another weird thing, and this is pretty cool about these two, is that they combine. And they combine in a very, dare I say, fans project kind of mentality, where a fans project usually takes a look at something and goes, how can we clip and piece stuff on top of it to make it another thing, which is how usually a lot of their armors work. This is kind of what it does. The sword, standalone, it actually comes apart into pieces. Kind of like a city commander, if you will. Like someone who's hanging out back there, in case you didn't notice the crowd that's been chilling in the back, watching us. All this stuff pieces onto his gun. And if I remember how this goes, something like this. Like that. Ah, yeah, that's it. You know? And then go something like this. I did it once, because I was just like, oh, hey, let's try this out. Because I wasn't really too satisfied with how it looks, but I was like, sure, whatever. It's kind of a nice bonus. But so you get like a bigger sword, essentially. And it's like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. And hey, he has a hilt on the back, so he could kind of be like Cloud, where he has a sword on the back there. And, you know, he could hold it like this, or he could hold it like a gun blade. And now we're talking, oh, hey, now it's Final Fantasy VIII with Squall with his gun blade. And I mean, I could go on Final Fantasy forever with all the comparisons here, but yeah, it's a nice bonus. Again, you know what? Giving more money for what you're paying for a deluxe that unfortunately was really lacking with the Optimus Prime toy. So I mean, if you have a choice between the two, seriously get Magnus, because he's really more bang for your buck. But yeah, like, hey, Ultra Magnus, you know, we rarely get Ultra Magnus toys that really are their own mold or very true to the original G1. Now, granted, this Ultra Magnus, continuity-wise, is related to the Transformers Prime Ultra Magnus, but I mean, clearly, the way High Moon designs the characters, the way they characterize them in the video game, it's clear that they're really going for a G1 feel and a G1 characterization. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Generation 1 especially, and you're not even a fan of the Prime series, but even as a Generation 1 fan or a fan of the video games, this is definitely worth picking up. I mean, a lot of the larger Voyager Fall for Cybertron figures are also must-haves, but I think of the deluxes, this is definitely one of those high-tier ones. Not much more I could say after that, except definitely pick him up. I mean, he's pretty awesome. He's a lot more money for what was put into this, which is kind of sad considering they're the same price point. Anyways, this is Protoman of ProtoRetro, and this has been a video review of Fall of Cybertron Ultra Magnus. So until then, guys, roll out.